At this point, a really good question would be, what is the difference between a designer and an art director? In many situations, there's no difference at all. Any of the responsibilities I described may fall on a designer, but not necessarily. Most of the time, a designer is responsible for the work they're doing as part of the team, rather than directing the team. Ironically, and this is true for many fields, when a designer is really, really good at their job, they may get promoted. So they're no longer even working as a designer as much. The same thing happens in other kinds of work. A salesperson will make so many sales, they get promoted to a management position, even though that might not be the work that they excel at. If you were around in the 60s or 70s, this was known as the Peter Principle, but that's a whole other video. Luckily, in our kind of work, it can be up to the art director how much actual hands-on design they do. Usually, the thing that gets in the way of that is time. An idea can come quickly, or it can take days or weeks to land on the right direction. And similarly, the execution can be incredibly time-consuming or lickety-split. Someone responsible for many people and lots of different kinds of work often doesn't have that kind of delicious time to spend on a single project, unless they're really fortunate and have worked hard to ensure they still get to do that. Some art directors no longer enjoy designing. Others may get out of the habit and end up happier supervising and keeping their focus on the big picture. I totally get both of those. Usually, the greatest difference between a designer and an art director is that the designer gets to generate lots and lots of ideas, which is so much fun. And then the art director gets to review them, which is also fun. Then we'll choose which ideas show promise and should move to the next phase, and inevitably, which ideas are just not up to snuff. If they're smart, the art director will also take the designer's opinion into account at this point. For example, if the designer really believes in an idea, but it's not our favorite or we would have cut it, I think it makes sense to give the designer the opportunity to make it work. This is also the responsibility of the designer. You should make your feelings known. Maybe you see something in the idea and believe you can make it work. Unfortunately, many times the designer doesn't speak up, but you should. No one can find fault with expressing your opinion, as long as you do it respectfully, and as long as you're willing to accept the final decision. So, after that, a conversation will take place where you discuss where to take each of these ideas, what to do next, and what to try to accomplish in what time frame. The art director should give the designer enough direction so they can begin on that next phase when they get back to their desk, and not look at their sketches unsure of what to do next. Okay, there's another scenario, which is nothing was good enough, and they have to start over. When that's the case, hopefully the art director reviews the brief again and can give the designer a few new possible starting points. Sometimes I will have a few ideas after the initial meeting, or during the initial meeting, in which case I may ask one of my designers to work with my ideas in addition to generating their own. Every project, every assignment, every element may have different parameters and roads to take, which is one of the reasons the job is so much fun.